teaching people to cry and to not cry. So, Mark Walsh, body facilitator, work with emotional expression and emotional containment regulates. So these are two essential sides of being a human being. It's inspired because currently there's a campaign called the Man Up campaign, because often boys particularly, girls too, or, boys particularly are told, be a man, don't cry, stop crying. And the message there is it's not okay to have emotions. It's not okay certainly to have emotions like sadness. Don't feel, push it down. And when we look at the epidemic, and that's the right word, epidemic of male suicide, for example, in the world, which is much higher than female suicide. I mean, there's certainly some link between that emotional repression, that not being able to talk about it, not being able to admit vulnerability. And this also, and a lot of people don't see this connection, leads to violence. If we can't bear being present with our own emotions, we project that onto others. And when you see someone, for example, who's egoic, there's the shame underneath that. So when you look at vulnerability, we need to look at this, and violence as a result of not being able to be vulnerable. So we're actually by teaching men not to be able to be present to their emotions, we're teaching them to be violent. Yes, so really fucking important point, that one. Okay, so important to be able to be present to emotions, important to be able to express them. Crying, I love a good cry. Certainly a healthy thing. It doesn't freak me out at all. On my workshops, I'd say the average embodiment yoga workshop, like half the class will cry at some point. Totally fine. They're not traumatized. They're just emotions are coming out. If you're doing deep work like we do in EFC or embodiment yoga or whatever, that's gonna happen. It's okay. We just empathically stay with people. We don't tell them not to cry. We don't say you have to cry. Some personal growth tutors are like I made everyone cry today. Or I've been coached and I could tell the coach was like trying to get me to cry. Like that was success point. Fuck that. Yeah. Okay. So that's the other extreme that you can see in alternative communities. Is everyone fucking crying all the time? People with bad self-regulation, they call it being sensitive. They're not fucking sensitive, they're badly self-regulated, okay? Ooh, harsh message, I know, but true. So being able to regulate our emotions is also really, really fucking important. If you want to see someone that cries on tap and it doesn't have any inhibition to that, look at a 2-year-old, look at a toddler, okay? So they will cry, they will scream as well. We could look at anger as another emotion we're supposed to not have, though men are a little bit more allowed to have that. Women more repress that one. That if we can't actually regulate the fight, the flight, the fear as well, another one that's repressed for men, not allowed to be scared, have to be brave, have to be tough, so fear is also really pushed down men. That's been my problem for years, actually, big challenge for me. I'm not scared of anything, I'll go to war zones, I'll do martial arts, I'll prove it, I'll snowboard across a mountain, I'm not scared of anything, I'm really, really not scared of anything, I'm really, really not, I'm terrified of life. So actually being present with our own fear, right from the fear of death, fear of failure, work, fear of women, all those things play out as violence and inauthenticity, if not. However, so yes, being present to the fear, the sadness, the anger, there's 3 big ones. Also joy, this is what I never hear about. English people aren't told not just to man up and not cry, they're also told to calm down and don't be so excited. Joy is a repressed emotion in Slavic countries, in North European countries. That's another one that's repressed, So the basic 4 basic emotions, forwards, back, up, down, are often, depending on the culture and gender, will be repressed differently, but some of them will be repressed, causing all kinds of problems. So absolutely not repressing crying or any of these other, being angry, being sad, being joyful, whatever, being scared, forgot that one. Yes, but also regulating, containing, so we're not that toddler who just has a tantrum at the slightest little thing. So we're not so sensitive that we can't engage in difficult conversation without requiring a safe fucking space. That we go, you know what, I'm responsible for my emotions. And yes, you said something I don't like, you had an opinion, I have a different opinion. That's okay, motherfuckers, just deal with it, That we're not making crying something more spiritual than not crying. They're both okay, right? Like, also, for me, it's like, crying is like a basic biological function, like, I don't know, taking a shit or masturbating. It's just something people need to do. Sometimes I like a good cry. I might cry, 10 times a year, 5 times a year, maximum 10 actually. That's okay, and I like to do that in private. For me, that's a private thing. I don't always want to cry in public. I might want to regulate myself in public. I don't mind crying with my wife. There's times, people I'm close to, I'm not ashamed of it. But for me, there's a privacy to that. That's an intimate thing to share with someone. And also, I don't just want to be, I have a friend, God love her, she just cries all the time, and it's a real problem for her, and she's acknowledging it and working with it, that it's just difficult for her to function, yeah? Now, yes, she's sensitive, which is good. It's good to feel, it's good to notice a lot. But with the sensitivity without the self-regulation is a problem. In meditation, it's the same thing. If one gets ahead of the other, if our self-regulation gets too in front, you man up, then we repress, we become controlled, it comes out sideways in weird ways. But if our sensitivity gets ahead of our self-regulation, equally a problem, because we're blah the whole time, right? We can't handle life, we can't regulate ourselves, we can't fucking do the job. So, yeah, we need to learn that too. We need to learn that too. And this is a fairly sophisticated message in this video, because I'm not saying man up, don't cry, but equally I'm not saying let's just cry all over the place, everything's fine. Actually, we need both. And these are embodiment skills, the expression and the regulation. And you'll see, most of us have one slightly more than the other, depending on our personality, our culture, our gender, and our practice, right, as well. So if you're studying lots of martial arts, good for containment, lots of, say, 5 rhythms, good for expression. Careful with that. You've got to find the balance, yeah.